What's up, YouTube? Dreamcast. It's Dreamcast time. I'm going to do my very first video game review. I'm a total gamer. I've been playing games since I was 4 years old. My very first game was Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis because Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I think it's a lot better than the Super Nintendo, just my opinion. I'm going to get a lot of crap for that, but I think it's better because it had Sonic. Sonic's better than Mario. At least he was back then. Sadly, he hasn't aged very well. So anyway, this review is about my favorite system, the Sega Dreamcast. This right here is the system. She's a very beautiful system. She was created in 1999, came out on September the 9th. September 9th of 1999, 9999, had a very successful launch. Really great system in my opinion. Kind of a little bit of forgotten a little. I mean, it has very memorable games, but people don't seem to. I mean, it has a very loyal fan base, which I'm proud to be a part of, and there are still games being made for this system. Just a note for that. You can get various homebrew systems, which this right here is actually a burned game because this system has a little bit of an eating disorder. She doesn't know the difference between a real game and a fake game. So you can easily fool this system if it was made before October of 2000. It won't know the difference between a real game and a fake game. So that's the nice thing about this system. I have plenty of games I've burned, but then I've got plenty that I've bought also that I love. So anyway, this is the system. This is the Dreamcast. It was the successor to the Sega Saturn, which I'll do another review of soon. She's a nice system, but not as good as this one. Dreamcast is way better. I like her so much more. I know I'm a little weird. I refer to my systems as she because I don't know. I just think they're all works of art. So I did give them names, and I'm not really gonna tell you what their names are. I'm probably the only person on YouTube who does this. So, anyway, this is it. It's from Sega, makers of Sonic, and this was Sega's last hurrah into the console market, the console wars. After this, system didn't last long. Sadly, it died out in 2001 in this country in the U.S. It lasted a little longer in Europe, but then in Japan it lasted in 2006. But it's a great system. Great system. You see, it's got 4 controller ports, much better than the old Saturn's only 2. Which, yeah, a lot of systems are guilty of that. But I love the systems that have 4. Like Xbox has it, GameCube has it. Then Xbox 360 now has it, but then again, everything's more wireless now. But anyway, this is the Dreamcast. It's power buttons right here. You plug it and it goes orange because that is its color. Its color is orange in the U.S. and North America because in Japan because the Japanese consider it to be orange because orange should be a lucky color. But in Europe, it's blue. It's weird why it is, but there was a company in Germany that had the swirl logo already that was orange, so Sega had to make it blue. I personally think the blue doesn't look as good, but the orange is awesome. I think it's cool. I don't like the color orange because it's an ugly color to me and it's boring, but it looks awesome on Dreamcast. This is its awesome top loader tray. It's awesome. I think it's better than these internal ones which break easily. They're less reliable because they're gonna break on you, and they're gonna break eventually. And if that thing gets dust in it, you can't get the dust out. You can't blow in it. Can't do that. This thing's better. It's more reliable. I wish systems would do that still, but they don't. I don't know why. But anyway, that's the Dreamcast, the front. Here's the back of it. You've got your little power adapter right here, which best thing about the system is an internal power supply, not a brick like the Atari or the 360 are guilty of. Then again, Atari is understandable because that was made in the 80s and 70s. Got your VGA adapter. This thing could connect to a computer and you can play HD gaming. Pretty incredible. No other system could do that of its time. Only 128-bit system of its generation that could do it. And it didn't last as long either. Kind of sad. Sega was so far ahead of its time. There's the AV cable. And right here, you have the best part about it, the awesome modem. That's right, folks. This baby could go online. There is still online gaming for the system. But that's if you are, I guess, stuck in the past and still have a dial-up, which I remember those times bad. And or if you're fortunate to have the rare broadband adapter, which was made in 2001 after the system died, and that thing's rare. I wish I had it, but it's like $150 expensive. So this is the basic old dial-up one, and it plugs into the system right here pretty much. So that they all came with it. It's really nice. It's pretty cool that it had this. Because it was the first system to have online gaming from the get-go, which is pretty incredible, I think. Saturn had it, but it came later. It came a lot later. So that's the Dreamcast looking at the system. Now I'm going to look at the accessories. Right here you got your controller. Pretty clunky. It's a little bit of a clunky controller, but I love it. I think it's better than like the PlayStation 2 controller, which I personally hate that controller. I think it's the worst controller. I think it's one of my least favorite controllers. The D-pad is evil. The analog sticks are in the wrong place, and blah blah blah. I know you guys are gonna hate me for this, but I don't like the PlayStation 2. I think Dreamcast is better. And this is the controller. I like it. I think it's good. It's cool. It was the first controller to have triggers, which is pretty cool. Well, I'm trying to get a good view of it. Hit triggers, which is awesome. Like a little gun. And Classic Gamer described this controller as being like a boat, which is pretty cool. I think it's reasonable. Has this little analog stick, which is it doesn't have a good grip, but it's good enough. It's good enough, and it's comfortable, I think. Its D-pad, the D-pad's so-so. It's probably my least favorite part of this system. But the best part, I think, is its grip. It has the best grip of any controller I've ever seen. Its grip is perfect. I mean, you got it perfectly. You can just, I'm trying to get it. You can easily put it in your hand, no problem, and it fits perfectly. I think it's very comfortable. Sega were smart with that. Many people hate it, but I like it. So right here is the best part about the system in general. The VMU, Visual Memory Unit. It's an awesome memory card. They were really thinking ahead in the future. I'm trying to get it out. You got your whatever. I'll use another one. This is the VGA, the VMU. It has its own little D-pad and buttons because this thing, when running with watch batteries, but sadly it dies in like very quickly. But it can play mini games that you could download from some games like Skies of Arcadia, one of the best RPGs on the system, has a little RPG mini game which is really fun. You can play that on here. It's pretty cool, black and white graphics. Kind of like reminds me of Tamagotchi from the 90s, if anybody remembers that. Kind of reminds me of that. You could do that with the Chow from Sonic Adventure with this thing. So yeah, it plugs into a controller right there, and you got your little screen. And this is my primary controller I use. It's green. I think it's better because it has a better D-pad. Because I'm surprised nobody's ever mentioned this before, but I discovered this. The Dreamcast has a better D-pad. This controller has a different D-pad than this controller. This controller has a smaller one. It's a little smaller. It doesn't go in as much. It's more comfortable. This one's got a very big D-pad that kind of sticks out. It's a little buffy, but it's still good enough. So, I guess this concludes my review of Dreamcast. Next, I'm going to do a video about its games, the games I would prefer for anybody who's looking to get a Dreamcast. Dreamcast, I will let you know, is a very affordable system. It's not expensive like the Sega Saturn, which this baby costs a good, like, $60. I spent a lot of money on this system because it was a miserable failure for Sega. Dreamcast was different. It was better, I think. So this concludes my video, and Dreamcast is a pretty good system. It's cheap. I got mine for like $35. Have a good day. Peace.